Good morning, guys. This is Rob Kelly, Dr. Rob Kelly, the Addiction Doctor. Great to be with you. It's Wednesday. It's just after 9 o'clock. What a fantastic day it's going to be today. It's kind of overcast today in San Antonio. So, guys in Manchester, England, you can laugh all day at us. It's been raining like crazy. What a day. How are you doing, Jen? Good to see you.
Good to see you. I'm doing really well. It is sunny, but the wildfires here have got us very smoky.
Oh, yeah. So you're safe, though. Are you safe?
Yeah. So I'm on an island. Not much can get me unless we have an earthquake.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, it's a bit overcast there. Like I said, the temperatures, I can't get used to it raining and still being hot, because when it rains in the United Kingdom, and I've not been living there for years, it's freezing cold. So when it first rained over here, I'd be out there and with my coat in and my boots on, it'd be like 105 degrees. It's crazy.
I know, that is crazy. So I'm curious, like, what's going on with the glasses? They're like super interesting. When did you?
Well, I got a call off Elton John the other day, and he said to me, "Rob, you need some glasses. I'm going to send you some glasses." So these are actually from Elton John, and he sent them me, and I had the lenses put in, but I just think that they're not as big as I wanted them to be.
Yeah.
It's so when they put the screen, they go, "Oh my God, there's that crazy guy, that crazy doctor. What's his name? I don't know. He's got the big glasses on."
I think that's really true. I think that's so that you can see like right through people and all their bullshit. I think that's what it is.
I can. Absolutely can. Fantastic day today, guys. Don't forget, we've got something coming up on the coaching side. You will hear all about it. For those guys that are listening today on Facebook Live, you lucky people, you. The rest of the guys tonight, 7 and 8 p.m. around the country, 65 platforms. You'll be able to listen to the show. There'll be some giveaways later, as we usually do. But today, guys, on Facebook Live, you're going to have a treat today, guys, because you get to hear it first. You've heard of the Dope Doctor. You've heard of Louis. Is absolutely amazing. I'm so glad that he came on today. We got him kind of by default because, first of all, he's a very, very busy guy. But secondly, we struck up a friendship some weeks ago, and it feels like it's been some years ago now. Just love this guy. He knows what he's talking about. He's down to earth. He's lived on the streets. Unbelievable, Jen. I mean, I'm looking forward to speaking to this guy, aren't you?
I know. I'm really excited. Just a tiny little glimpse. I'm like, ooh, I need to spend at least a half a day talking to you.
Yeah, he's absolutely amazing. So listen, guys, the Dope Doctor's coming up in 2 seconds, meeting the Addiction Doctor and Jennifer Lovely. And don't forget, guys, stick around for at least 10 seconds because you're going to love this guy. Welcome back, guys. Breaking Through Addiction every 9 o'clock on a Wednesday. The Dope Doctor's in the house.
What's
Louis,
up?
Man, how you doing?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, sir.
It is. For those who don't know, the Dope Doctor Louis is a columnist at Brevard Live magazine. He's also the founder of Now Matters More Foundation and one of my favorite TV and radio programs, The Couch Live. He's the host there. I've been there a couple of times. Absolutely amazing. Welcome to the show, Louis. Great to have you, my man. What's going on?
Oh, it's a beautiful day, man. Thank you very much for inviting me. This is awesome. I get to meet Jennifer.
I know.
How you doing, Jennifer?
I'm good. And I feel like I need to be like the love doctor or something in between the
dope. Yeah, that would be awesome. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know if that was your real name or if it was like Jennifer Rabbit kind of thing. Like if that was a nickname.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've been this name since I was 18. So
okay.
I just decided I was just going to keep it. Plus, my kids, that's their last name. I never wanted to change it because of them. So here I am. And it seems like it works.
It's a cool name. I'd keep it too. You know, it doesn't matter who it came with. As long as you like it, it's yours now.
Totally. Yeah. I don't think his wife likes it too much, but it's all
it's all lovely. It's all lovely.
So I'm super, super curious about you and your story. I mean, the best part of doing this work is hearing the stories of where you were and where you are today, right? And really what matters is the presence of where you are today. But I gotta ask, tell me a little bit about your story because it's intriguing.
Yeah, it's interesting because, for the first few years of recovery, I didn't want to talk about it because I was raised to be silent. Not only are you raised to be silent about addiction or family issues, but you're raised to be silent about criminal activity. And so I started really young, although I come from let me preface this all by, I come from great parents. My father's a command sergeant major, retired. My mother, Department of Defense. They did very well. Both of them come from other countries. My mother's from Mexico. My father's from Puerto Rico. But those links became important because since my father was always traveling, he was always fighting some war, some conflict somewhere. And so we were left alone a lot. And so I, very young, started drinking alcohol at 9 years old. I didn't know how to deal with, my father being gone. I didn't know how to deal with always being the new kid. I didn't know how to deal with just life in general or whatever I was going through. So I started drinking at 9. And that brought me into just being mischievous. And by being mischievous, I got recruited at 11 years old into the marijuana business. And so once I started selling pot, I started selling pot the day I started smoking it. So I was really good at that. I found something I was really good at. Even though it's really hard to get I gotta tell you, it's really hard to get other 11-year-olds to buy weed. It wasn't an easy task. So, when you can get little kids to buy drugs, that haven't even drank yet, it meant something. So pretty soon, next thing you know, within that same year, I started going on my motorcycle over to Juarez, Mexico, and getting it myself, and then got involved with trafficking. And so here I was at 12 years old, just doing things that I didn't think were possible. You watch the movies and, the Italians had their thing, but when I found out that we had our own thing and that because of my relationships, my family and who they knew my family to be or what they thought them to be, whatever it is, it gave me a sense of control, a sense of power. So I used that. I used that to my advantage, and next thing you know, I was deep in it. And by 15 years old, everything switched to cocaine. I started bringing in cocaine and trafficking that around. And then by 17, I was arrested for 2 counts of attempted murder in my senior year of high school, and I got told to leave. I got my diploma. It's weird because that wouldn't happen today, right?
Right.
They gave me my diploma, but they said just don't come back. You're not allowed back. Matter of fact, I was told to leave the state of Texas for a period of time until it all blew over, which it did. 6 months later, it all blew over.
We're frozen a little bit.
Oh.
I think we froze, Jan. Give him a couple of seconds to come back in. That was an interesting part of the story as well. It just got to the part where I've got my breath held and going, oh my goodness, what's coming next? And he decided to freeze. Oh my God. Oh, there he goes. Louis, we was sat there with bated breath and it just froze as you were asked to leave Texas.
This is I think it's the federal government. Every time I start talking about this stuff, they you know what I mean? I'm sorry.
So I've got a question for you. So with all this going on in there, let's forget about the cocaine and forget about the drugs and the smuggling and the bad stuff that we all used to do. Right. Okay. Right. Do you miss them days? Do you miss that when you walk in a room having that much power as a young kid, being able to buy what you want? Do you miss them days?
Oh.
Man, what's my internet connection here? I used to. I don't anymore. I'm really shocked that I don't because I used to a lot. I used to really miss the lifestyle more than anything else. The ability to do and say whatever you want, go wherever you want. I mean, I was going to Vegas at 15 years old and feeling like a big shot. You know what I mean? You just walk in and you're hanging out with these Goombas. They all have weird nicknames. They're all touchy grabby. And I'm just a little kid. I didn't know I was such a young looking little kid until I look at pictures and go, oh my God, I barely had one hair on my face. And here I was doing that. I mean, it's really sad. It actually makes me kind of emotional sometimes when I look at pictures of my youth. And just to know what that little kid was doing. But it didn't feel like that. I felt old on the inside. I felt so old and mature on the inside. And then I look at the pictures and I go, that's a little kid. That is a little kid. What does he know? He doesn't know shit. I don't even know if I can cuss on this.
Fuck yeah.
All right. Sorry.
Hey, wow. Louis, you have to ask that question with me and Jennifer hosting. That's crazy.
Well, it's out of respect, Dr. Rob. I mean, I kind of knew, but
we appreciate that. No, we appreciate that. I've just one more question that I've got, because I'm intrigued about this stuff. So I know today I was just on this online meeting, and this girl there that I know doesn't like me, and she disrespects me. And the old Rob wants to come out and go, "You fucking bitch! You know who you're speaking to? How dare you do that? I will know. I will find out where you live. I'll come down. I'll burn your fucking house down, and all this stuff." I mean, do you still get that? Because you were. I mean, I belong to a little gang in Manchester. You were the real deal over there. I mean, did you ever get to that point where you want to kill somebody again, just in your mind?
You know what? We joke about it, but it's actually very true. The hardest thing is really when I'm off my game a little bit and I'm not fully 100% well that day. And we all have those days, right? Unfortunately, my not well days are very dangerous to me and to those around me. So when I'm not well and someone will mouth off or do something I think is really stupid, or worse, if they are abusing somebody or taking advantage of somebody, my mind starts tripping. I mean, let's not get it twisted. Remember, I come from the border where there's a lot of my contact, they're still alive and well on the other side. This is not an over deal. So my mind starts playing says, we can do something about it. And I got a story attached to that, because it actually helped my recovery a great deal by going through this. So I went through a situation early on. I'm going to say, I think it was 9 years. Was it 9? Somewhere around there. No, less years, maybe 4 or 5 years in. 4 or 5 years in recovery. And somebody had used my name to do something, and I got really upset because it made me look bad. And so an older gentleman, that I respected a great deal in the lifestyle, his son calls me and says, my dad's upset, and I'm like, but I didn't do anything, man. I've been out for a long time. That's not me. That's not my front. That's not my deal. I don't owe anybody any money. I'm good. I've been over here just doing my deal. And when I heard the story, I got really upset, because this person is really close to me, and I love the guy. And so I felt like I had to go take care of the situation myself for that man. And if I didn't take care of that situation, it would come back and bite me eventually. So it was a really sad moment, because I actually just left. Here I was already a counselor. You guys, I was already a counselor. I'm already seeing people in private practice and stuff. And so I drive to another state on a whim, and I'm sitting, and I remember sitting on this guy's balcony. I find him, and I'm sitting on this guy's balcony, and it's all snowing there where I'm at. And I'm just thinking, I'm smoking a cigarette, and I'm thinking, I'm about to go inside and totally change my life. I'm about to do something really ridiculous, but I got to do it. I'm convincing myself I got to do it. If I don't do it, I'm never going to break free of this. And this is the one thing I if I do this, then it's over. And then I don't have to worry about it. And I prove myself, and I can live clean. And I'm sitting there on the balcony, and I get a phone call. I get a phone call from my mentor in recovery. He calls me, and he goes, "Hey, Louis, you just left. What's the deal?" And I said, "I really can't get into it, man. I'll be back tomorrow. Don't worry, I'll be back tomorrow." He goes, "Look, whatever you're about to do, don't do it. Whatever it is you're thinking, whatever's going on, just know I'm here for you. Why don't you just get back in your car and come right back?" And I'm getting chills just talking about it right now, because I remember that moment. I'm sitting there, and I'm literally trying to convince myself that I'm doing the right thing, even though logically I knew it wasn't. But I felt like I knew I was doing the right thing. And
again, another really good part we're about to hear, and his internet.
I know. It's crazy.
Maybe it's God speaking. It's his higher power. Stop talking about this.
It's either God or the government, one or the other, like you said. It's, whatever it was, I'm scared of both. Louis, you back with us? No, he's not back yet. I'll come in a second. Wow. Can you imagine that, smuggling at that age and then bringing across the border at that age? I mean, that is just crazy. Louis, you back?
I guess. I don't know what they keep doing to me, man. I don't know what it is. I really.
The government, they're keeping tags on you. Okay, so you're on the balcony. I called and said, "Please don't do it." What happened then? Did you turn around and go home?
Yeah, I took the guy's car instead. I didn't do any harm to him. I took the car instead. His girl didn't like it, but they signed it over to me, and I left, and I just came home, and that was it. And from that point forward, no more favors, no more requests, no more nothing. And it was hard, man. It was really hard that day, but it proved to me the power of friendship in here. You know what I mean? Because I'd never done any dirt with the guy that called me, but I will forever love that guy for making that phone call, because I don't think he'll ever know. I don't think I've ever had a conversation with him to tell him, where I was at that moment. But that moment will stick with me forever. And so what I say with that is I think about that sometimes when I'm sitting there and just someone pops in my head, that I haven't seen in a while. and wow, I haven't seen them around in a while. I wonder what they're doing. Instead of just sitting there thinking about it, I call them, because what if I'm that phone call to them and I don't know? You know what I mean? It makes me think about that. Like, what came into his mind? Like, did my higher power go into his mind and say, call him, Pete, call him? And I think he saved my life that day, to be honest with you.
Wow.
I love that story so much. And, you know, it is funny. Like, I grew up with a father who told me that he was the great Santini every single day. If you don't know who the great Santini was, but I woke up every morning with get up, hog. It's time to wake up. And he told me every day he was more powerful than the president. You hear that enough times that, you know, you start to believe that you are part of something powerful, right?
Yeah.
So when my kids were using heroin, I went to their dope dealer's house and was like, I'm going to get you. You know, it's that thing. It's that power. But I'm really curious. The stories that people tell now, Louis, is like we kind of can live in these stories of our past. Like, it's powerful to tell really good stories, especially at AA meetings.
Right.
And one of the things that I've been reading about is AA has really gotten away from being present in the program. And maybe it's not AA, let's just say recovery in general, right? And we've gotten really good because people are more interested in the stories.
Yeah.
How do you get people, as now a counselor, as the dope doctor, how do you get people out of the story and into the presence of really getting present to who they are as a human being?
You know, that's such a great question. And I wish I had a magical answer for that, because it's one of the hardest things of having my kind of story. It's important to me to share, because it's important for me. It's almost like, it's like bleeding out. It's like being brutally honest by saying, I am that piece of shit out there that so many people think, you know, that person will never get better. That person's no good, bad to the core. He was bad when he was young. He was bad when he's using. He's never going to be good. He's always going to be a liar, cheat, thief, whatever it is. And, you know, because I'm not, I think it's important to say, well, wait a minute. I started so young. I was so delinquent, so young. And yet I lived my whole life loving people, and I hated people. I mean, I literally hated people. But what it is that I hated myself. So I get what you're saying, because all too often I would get asked, hey, can you come speak to these kids? Come speak to these kids. And I used to love doing it, and I would go do it. And then the only question they would ever ask is, well, did you make a lot of money? And so I realized it's not so much the story, it's how you tell it and make sure that you bring it back to where it needs to be. But even then, like, you guys, like, why is Scarface such a cool movie? Why do people love the movie Scarface? The dude dies in the end. Really, the dude kills his best friend, has a horrible relationship with his mom and sister. The whole world crumbles, yet we love it because the way he did it, he just did it so badass. And that is the sadness about this whole deal, that no matter how I can tell my story, no matter how I can tell you how horrible it was to some of the people that I hurt, and to, you know, they'll never have the chance at life the way I had a chance at life and all that stuff, and how they were impacted and affected. No matter all that, doesn't matter. The sexiness of how cool it was will always be the sexiness of how cool it was. So the reason I say I wish I had a good answer for that is because I don't. What I realize is I have my part in this world. And so what I chose to do is I'm here for the people that felt like they were a piece of shit as well, that they did so much dirt that there's no way that this world is going to forgive them. There's no way they're going to love people because they hate people. Like, you hear a lot of women go, I hate other women. I hear a lot of guys say, you know, I can't stand people. No, it's because where you're at and how you feel about yourself. So I use my story for those people, and I'm not a prevention guy. Just don't, you know, I'll talk to youth. I have no problem talking to youth, but I probably shared very little of that story now. Because if I share that story, all they're going to think about is the money. All they're going to think about is all the other stuff. And that might not be helpful to them at this moment. So I do like, you know, speaking with other people that were in previous organizations or other type of criminal entity, though. I do like speaking with them.
Can you talk about the prevention part? Like, what does that mean? Sorry, Dr. Rob. Can you talk about not wanting, you don't deal with prevention?
Well, the thing is it's not that I don't do. I just know that I'm not really good at it. I'm not skilled at the prevention part, because in prevention you got to help people not start, right? Never touch it. Well, I mean, I don't even know what would have worked for me. You know what I mean? I had a good intact family. I had a lot of the stuff, but look, life is life, and you know, sometimes you if you're not well emotionally inside, no matter what your situation is, you can have a great parent set and still get into problems. You could live in a great neighborhood and still get into problems. Nobody is immune to the possibilities that are out there. But one thing I do know is trauma is indicative. And because trauma is one of these things that what I think is traumatic to me may not necessarily be traumatic to you, or what I think is abuse may not be abuse to you. It's so subjective that how do you go into a room of people and talk about subjective information? You know, because we laugh at it, right? Like somebody stubs their toe and they'll go, "Oh man, I stubbed my toe." And the other person goes, "You think that's fun? Look, I cut my toe off." You know, we're all one-upping each other so often. So one person's level of abuse or problem, you know, we're always measuring it like it's not bad enough. So it's really hard to have a prevention conversation to anyone. All we can do is like what we do on Dharma Time in the Couch Live is we just talk about how to deal with emotions and just how to deal with life problems and problem solving skills, because that's really the only way that I know that we can do in prevention. It's just, let's teach it really young on how to deal with problems. And I don't think any subject is really taboo. I think we should talk about it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth covering the past, but not living in the past. I mean, a lot of people, when I see people there, they're defined by the past and they can't move on. Now, when I say that, I always validate myself by saying, hey, this is what I used to do. I'll do a 10-minute talk out of an hour telling me what it used to be like. Then I'm going to do a 15-minute talk telling you how cool recovery is and how we make this shit look cool. That's one of my biggest things whenever I speak is, you know, I'm nearly 60. You know, my best friend is 32. My prime target for working with people is teens, and I can't figure that out. And I think it's because we have to make this shit look cool, but we can't forget the trauma. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because a lot of people say to me, "How do you define trauma?" Because it is different for other people. And my answer is always the same. If you have the addicted brain, which I believe you're born with, especially the alcoholic brain, then anything less than nurturing as a child is child abuse. Now, I'm not saying to the parents, you know, you've got to nurture and never be wrong. What I'm saying is we have to identify that so that when the addicted brain hears, "Get off there, you stupid idiot. You're never clever enough. You can't go to college just like your brother. You're not smart enough." When you hear that, at least we can go back and identify it, which brings me to the $1 million question as far as I'm concerned, Louis, is have you covered all your past? Have you gone back there to the scene of the crime and cleared all that shit up?
Yeah.
Have you done everything? I mean, God, you've been so much. Have you done everything?
Well, I can't do everything. You know, there is a part of it that says, you know, unless it's going to harm them or yourself, right? And so there, unfortunately, my memories, fortunately and unfortunately, I guess, there are some names that I don't remember. There are some victims that I just don't remember their names, and it feels horrible to say that although their situation or our connectedness impacted me so greatly, for some reason I can't remember the name, and I don't know if it's a protective mechanism that just happened way back when, and then I just never carried it on, or moving forward. But I think it'd be very damaging to me in some cases to go back and speak to them, damaging to me. And probably damaging to them, because they won't be able to, like, there's people that probably have some hate in their heart, and they won't be able to hate me the same way or look at me the same way if they get to know how I am now. And so I don't know how that'll affect them. You know what I mean? What I do know is this: I've went back and spoken to a lot of people, and I feel like the way I'm being used by the God of my understanding is that if I just keep on helping the next person over and over again, that for some hope that I have that somehow will pay back whatever pain I've ever caused on somebody. Because here's the problem: I started so young and recruited so many people like me that some have continued on to this day. So, you know, I'm 50 years old now. So the way I look at it is that pain continues to grow, and I'm responsible for that. That will never stop. If any of those individuals I ever worked with continue to move forward in life and do those things, I'm still responsible, partially at least responsible for that. But that used to weigh on me so heavily. And so I wasn't able to grow because I was always thinking of myself as a piece of shit. And it was my wife, my beautiful wife, Dana, that I met when I was 20. When I finally, I went to LA and I got clean and sober in LA at 19. And then I came over here to Florida at 20. And when I got here to Florida, man, I met Dana pretty quick in, and she saved my life, man, because when I talked to her, she saw me differently. She didn't see all that other stuff. Like, I would try to tell her, so she would run away, and I'd be like, "You don't understand. They're coming to get me. They've already taken my bank accounts. I mean, the RICO Act is real. I mean, you know what I mean? You don't understand. The federal government's not just going to let me go. They're just going to wait until statute of limitations are just about over, and then boom, get me." And so for years, I lived in that fear and that guilt, and she helped me realize, no, you're actually not that person. And I used to be offended when she would say that. You know, I would get mad, and she goes, "Oh, you're not that person." I'd be like, what do you mean I'm not that person? Nah, you don't know me. It used to bother me. You know what I mean? But I finally realized what she meant, and it took a long time, but it took a lot of humility, and I didn't understand the word humility. I learned that in the rooms, and I didn't learn that. Wow, maybe I'm softer than I think. I mean, there's a hardness, but I think that's a protective mechanism. It's not that I'm a hard person. It's something inside me and something outside of me protected me from having to feel certain emotions. And because I didn't feel certain emotions, I'm able to let a lot of that stuff go and move forward and love people without constantly, mi pecado, in Spanish, the Catholic thing of like, I'm this Catholic guilt that I got to walk around and hit myself. So I don't know, man. I just try to do the best thing I can do now. And like you said,
Aunt Wives amazing though. Aunt Wives amazing because you just brought something up that I did. Some guy at one of the meetings where I was shouting his mouth off, and I'm going down to speak to him. And before I'm leaving the house, the wives go, "Well, listen, I don't think you should go. You might get hurt. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, what if he punches you and stuff?" And I'm thinking, really? Really? He's just like, God bless them. They don't know, but I'm the same. I try to tell her little stories, but my job today is to live in the present and protect her.
Yeah.
And I do a pretty good job today, only because I work a program today that allows me to love myself and therefore other people. I mean, I'm just getting over now. And me and Jen had this conversation with me when we first met, is if you criticize me, you're dead. You're dead to me. Don't even come nowhere near me. I will get you back. Yeah, I will get you back. And I don't mix with anybody. I will never go on anybody's show. Don't spend. And for years, or 20, 30 years, I don't know how long it's been. I've always been like that. And I don't know if it's my old age or the fact that I'm getting soft. I don't know. But, I posted some on Facebook, and it was like all the stuff that I was thinking intimate. Like, I hate animal abuse and I love flowers in the morning. And oh my God. And that was after a conversation with Jen, but so uplifting, Jen. So uplifting. Absolutely amazing. It's a good live today, Louis.
Yeah, it's crazy because all those little softer things and all those little cute things I used to kind of like be annoyed by, right? I like happy people used to bother the hell out of me. Like when they'd walk around all happy and be like, what the hell are you? I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. What I mean? Soft colors, happy people, smiling. I like everything dark. I like closing my windows and keep it dark. I like rainy days. I like cloudiness, and I still like all that stuff. To be honest, I still like all that stuff. But I quickly realized that it's because when you say work recovery, I'm going to talk about some things that are a little bit different than what maybe people think. For instance, I didn't like sunshine and I like darkness. I like nighttime. I didn't like early day, and right. I hated all that. So what I did when I got here to Florida, I bought a convertible because I hate the sun. So I forced myself I'd always have the top down. I forced myself to deal with the heat, which I hated, forced myself to deal with the sun, which I hated, to kind of get over it, Louis, shake it off, dude. This is, you gotta, people love this shit. And I'm like, what's so beautiful about Florida? Freaking swamps. It's hot. It's sweaty. It's nasty. I had to learn to love it. Right. I was, some arrogance attached to me. Right. So one time, I had this construction company on the side. And so what I did, I had a truck that had a damaged door and it had a green door on it as one of my construction. I started driving it. I started using it. Why? Because when I drove it and parked in my doctor's parking at my treatment center, people were like, is that your truck? You're supposed to be in a nice vehicle. I was like, yeah, that's my car. And what I noticed is people treat you different when you're driving around a truck with a green door, a white truck with a green door. I mean, people like are ruder to you. They're like, it's just a whole different vibe. And I was like, wow, this is humble. This is how I deal with, this is real world, man. So I actually really like that. So I like Camrys. So I bought Camrys from that point forward. And I like really plain vehicles most of the time. Something that's not too flashy, even though I would love some flashiness. Trust me, I like nice clothes and stuff like that. But when it comes to stuff that I probably used to put a lot of value on, I don't put any value on that as a part of working my own personal recovery.
One of the the greatest thing that ever happened to me was recovery. I mean, the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And I can never really, you can't give somebody else recovery, right? You can't do that for them, and they've got to find that. And to me, what recovery has ultimately done, it has allowed me to tap into my greatness, like who I really am before all this shit happened, before, and so I was working with a client the other day, speaking of like how it sounds like you were the way you practice. I had him write like an ad
Mm-hmm.
of the kind of person that he wants in his life from how he abused himself.
Mm.
Right. And so that he could actually like start seeing parts of himself. Like, would I really want to do that to myself? Would I really want to bring that into my life? Because ultimately what we do is we just walk around self-flagellating and we continue the process. Right?
Yeah.
So when you work, I don't know exactly how you work with people today, Louis, maybe you can share that, but like, how do you get people to tap into their greatness?
Well, you know, that's a really great question as well. I see why you have her, Dr. Rob. She asked a really good question. Well, first of all, you know, that word bothered me a lot. You're really good bothered me a lot. Compliments bothered me a lot because, you know, I always felt like there was an internal narrative that I had in my head that was so self-deprecating that you know, it's like, you just don't know what a piece of shit I really am and what I've done. So that's why you think I'm good or I'm nice or whatever. But here's what I would say to the greatness part is that to somebody else, you know, even though you can't be great to yourself, you can be great to other people. And so you got to appreciate that. You got to be okay with that. That there's something that you can do today that can make you amazing to somebody else. So if you want to walk around the rest of the day and be like, I'm such a piece of shit, I'm such a piece of shit, just know that to somebody else, you're not. To somebody else, you're a lifesaver. To somebody else, you're the most amazing person in the world. To somebody else, you save their life. So if you're struggling with how you're feeling about yourself, what I tell them is then that service work that they're talking about, they're not telling you to go do service work just to keep you busy. That's what you're thinking. You're saying, well, if I stay busy, I just won't use shit. Drugs have a way of clearing your schedule real quick. So don't ever think that you can get too busy to go get high, because you will eventually not be busy. I wanted to be good in silence. I wanted to feel comfortable in silence and being alone and all the things that would normally scare you or frighten you or concern you. So what I say is you do service work, because if you can't be great for yourself and you can't appreciate how good you are, then go to somebody else and live through their eyes a little bit, and you'll see just how good you really are. And eventually, that's faking it till you make it. Eventually, hopefully, you'll start believing them. And that's what happened. I eventually started believing people. So I may not think I'm great or anything like that, but, and Dr. Rob, you can appreciate this, and looking at a lot of the other clowns out there that I think are trying to do the right thing and see how shitty they do it. Yeah, I'm pretty damn good at what I do then. You know, and you gotta just own it then and be like, you know what?
That's it.
It's all right to have a little
point. There has to be a point where you own it. Yeah, there has to be a point where you go, yeah, I am that good. You know, I got a two-part question for you, Lou, and I'm really interested in your answers, because I know that I suffer from both. The first one, doing what you do, or doing what we all do in the situations when we're using drinking, and then doing what we do today, which, whether we like it or not, we're famous for what we do. We're in the public eye. We're well known. Okay. Do you ever get the imposter syndrome, where you don't think you should be there, or if they only found out when they're really me? Or do you ever get guilty about that when you stood up on a stage in front of a bunch of kids, or at a dinner where you're raising money and go, holy shit, I shouldn't be here?
Again, initially, yes. Thankfully, I mean, I guess it's just time really does work, by the way. You know, if you ever think time doesn't work, it really does. I have 31 years sober. I got 29 years in the business. I've been on the air now 21 years talking about this. That means I put myself out there on a platform that allowed people to look at me and go, hey, you're supposed to be in silence. You're supposed to be in the closet. You're supposed to be anonymous. You're not supposed to be sharing this. And I took that on and I said, I don't agree with that. And I'm not telling you to out yourself. I'm outing myself. Yeah. So you go ahead and do you, and I'm going to do me, because I think there's a lot of people out there that need to know it's okay to recover out loud as well. And if all of us don't recover out loud, I mean, if we all stay silent and in the closet, how does that work for gay people? That didn't work for them. Well, it's not going to work for me. I'm coming out of the closet. So when, in taking what you say, initially, that's exactly how I felt, because there's a lot of people out there that know the material really well, and you've ran into them, man. They're the big book Nazis. You know, I had some sponsors that could go on page 57 this, and page 32 this, and this line says this, and they can quote all kinds of shit. And you know, there's people as therapists and counselors. They know. You know, I know the basics. You know, I mean, I know what they taught me, but I'm not so in detail. Like when people go, "Oh, that's very Rogerian," you know, and they start talking. Really. So initially, that's what concerned me. It's not necessarily that I was an imposter, but I don't think I'm smart enough or knowledgeable enough to be considered the expert. You know, so because real early on, as soon as you look, man, you know this, as soon as you do TV or as soon as you do radio, next thing you know, every news channel is calling you. Every time there's an addiction story, the news has me on. And so people hated that initially because here's this 20-something-year-old guy back then going on the news. I've been doing news segments since I've been doing radio, you know, as the expert. And man, these people that were out there for 20, 30 years are like, well, how the hell is he's an expert? This guy, you know, I was sober before he was even pissing yellow. Like, what's it, you know, and so that made me feel a little uncomfortable. The fact that I don't know as much as that person. But what I found out was it's not necessarily what you know. It's through what you say, can you inspire change? Yep. Can you inspire a thought process that is necessary to move on to the next moment in life? Can you help someone build up their own personal courage so they too can say, you know what, if that dude can do it, I think I can do it. You know, if that dude can feel like that about himself, and he's so brutally honest like that, well, then maybe I can be brutally honest and do that. If he can appreciate life, maybe I can appreciate life. So what I learned quickly is I don't have to be the expert that I thought I needed to be. I didn't have to be the performer or the thing I thought I had to be. I just have to just go out there and be brutally honest and take that risk. What the fuck I got to lose? I got shit to lose. What are you gonna do? Lock me up? What are you gonna do? Imprison me? What is this world gonna do to me? Right. This world can't do shit to me that I haven't done to myself. Right. It just can't. So that no fear attitude is beautiful, because whereas, you know, I look at it almost like Evel Knievel kept jumping, even though he knew eventually you're gonna fall. So yeah, eventually you're gonna go out there with a microphone and you're gonna stand on a stage, you're gonna be on a platform, and you're gonna go blank. And that's happened where I'm talking, all of a sudden, oh shit, the hell was I just saying? That's gonna happen. Who gives a shit? Just admit your faults, because we're in a time now. Here's the beautiful thing, Dr. Rob. We're in a time now where being flawed is actually better than being perfect. And so it's more identifiable to people. And you know, that what do you call it? That vulnerability. Vulnerability is the new sexy. You know what I mean? So whereas,
I told you.
Yeah. Well, we used to have to just be macho. And I come from a time where it was just all about machismo, and I kind of like that, to be honest with you. I'm glad I'm 50, where everybody's getting so soft, because I'm not ready for all that total softness. But I do believe the vulnerability is the new sexy. And so for the new people coming up, let them be that kind of counselor. Let them be that kind of speaker. And I'm going to stay to my kind of people and my kind of thing. And here's the thing, Dr. Rob, I don't try to please everybody. I don't think about the audience I'm speaking to. I get that a lot. They go, well, what's the demographic this and what's the demographic? I said, look, I don't know. How about I'll just do my thing, and whatever demos come out with it, then that's the demos that come out with it. I'll let the producers and directors and the graphic artists and all that stuff, you do your thing how you want to do it. I'm going to stay as old-fashioned as I am, because let me tell you who saved my life. It was an old guy from World War II, old white man. I was in a room full of old white men talking about World War II stories, and I was a 20-year-old Mexican kid sitting in a meeting going, I don't relate to these people at all. And guess what? I'm alive today, doing well, thanks to them.
Awesome. Dr. Rob, before you start signing off, I wanted to say that, like, one of the things that I always say is that I really believe that us in recovery are really the chosen people. I've always said that. I feel that way. There's something about our brains that make us, we're not special, but we're special. But what I really wanted to say to the both of you is that if you saw yourselves the way Jesus saw you, you would kiss your own feet.
Oh.
Wow. That's
powerful.
I believe
that.
Woo, that is powerful. Do you know what? I've got to tell you, Louis, every time we do this, she always comes out with some crazy stuff that makes me think all day, that makes me a better person. And if you would have asked me like a year ago, okay, you're going to be on a show with a girl you don't really know who's going to educate you, I'd say bullshit. First of all, I'm going to show with nobody. I don't go out there. I hate treatment centers. I hate people in treatment centers. Stay the fuck away from me, but now everything's changed. So for all those guys out there who like the real me, send your message to Jennifer saying thank you. Hey guys, listen, Louis. I want to speak about real quick about the that Hope-a-thon. I'll put the website across. It's the hopeathon.com. Listen to this, guys. You're gonna absolutely love this.
Yeah, the Hope-a-thon is awesome because with everything going on, as far as everything went virtual, right? So our whole life got turned upside down. We couldn't do our regular recovery walk in Orange County, and I've been going to our Orange County recovery walk for 20 years. This is our 20th anniversary. So 19 years. This is our 20th anniversary, and I've been sitting on that board. And then it was going to get canceled. So then we talked about, well, what about, I've always had this fascination with what Jerry Lewis did. As a little kid, I remember seeing this guy so when you're real little, he was making you laugh and he's doing all these goofy things. And then all of a sudden, one day out of the year, he gets all serious, talks very different, and he has all his friends show up, artists, actors. He calls in every favor he can ask is what it looked like. And for 24 hours, this guy was on there and he was talking about muscular dystrophy. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just look up Jerry Lewis, muscular dystrophy, Jerry's Kids, Google that shit. So when I would watch it, I would say, man, he starts off in that tuxedo and then by the end of it, it's all pulled out. You could tell he's all tired. But the deal was that this guy held that position for 24 hours. He stayed up for 24 hours to do that thing. And I was always in awe about that. And then when it went away, when he stopped doing it, what kid knows? If I ask my kids what muscular dystrophy is, they don't know what muscular dystrophy is. They know what autism is. They know what all that stuff is, but they know nothing about muscular dystrophy. So when it got in my head early on, I was like, I want that. I want to be the Jerry Lewis of addiction recovery. So the Hope-a-thon, it's going to start now. 24 hours. It's September 26th. We're calling it End Dependence Day. That's right. End Dependence Day. September 26th. For 24 hours from the beginning of September 26th to the end of September 26th. That's midnight to midnight. We're going to be live on the air. Now, I just got a beautiful thing. I was on Orange TV for 7 years. It's a local TV station here in Orlando. They said, we're going to broadcast it 24 hours. Come into our studio. This is your home. Have it here. So I'm going to be we are going to be broadcasting for 24 hours live from the Orange TV studios here in Orange County. And then it's going to be streamed on YouTube. It's going to be streamed on Facebook Live. It's going to be streamed anywhere it can be streamed live for 24 hours. We're going to have you, Dr. Rob. You're going to be on there now. You, Jennifer, you're going to be on now. Jennifer Lovely's now included. We're going to have entertainers from all over the place. We have so many guests. Go to thehopeathon.com. You'll see a list of guests right there. My beautiful friend, Darryl Strawberry, which I hated why he played baseball because he was on the Mets. He was on the Yankees. He was on the Dodgers, all the teams that would beat my Phillies and Pirates. So I didn't like it. But in sobriety, we became beautiful friends, and he's one of my best friends. And so he's going to be with us. Pinklon Thomas, two-time world heavyweight champion of the world, lost to Mike Tyson, but shit, how many of you can even say you fought Mike Tyson? So I have so many of my friends that are going to come on, like you, Dr. Rob, entertaining us. I think I heard you're going to play some guitar. Would love that. There's so many musical guests that you're going to be surprised to see just a little song from them. So if any of you out there have ever tinkered with any kind of artistic expression, because artistic expression is how we reveal our emotions and how we let go of our emotions. That's our, if you have a pressurized system, everything pressurized has a release valve. Your release valve is your artistic expression. So if you have that, or if you have a little message of hope, then please submit it to me. Reach out to me and submit me, do it horizontally on your phone, horizontally, don't do it up and down, horizontally, videotape that shit, send it to me. Find me. I'm at The Dope Doctor. You can find me right here on Facebook. You can find me in Instagram. You can find me Twitter, everywhere. Send it to me and we will use it. Thehopeathon.com. Join us that day. Share it. It's all about hope. And here's the most important thing, Dr. Rob, and I'm sure I'm running out of time, but this is the last important thing. All too often, when we're represented on television, when we're represented on radio, we are only talked about when we're dying, when we're killing somebody, when we're raping somebody, when we're hurting people, when we're going to prison, when we're going to jail, when we're doing something ridiculous. And then we get clean and sober, and then we're not even in the news anymore because it's not sexy for them. So we're not going to do this. Hope-a-thon is not going to, and I'm sorry because I live for everybody that's ever died from this disease. However, the Hope-a-thon is not about that. It's not for those that have died from the disease. It's those that lived and died with the disease. And so we need to show that we do recover. 24 hours of hope, because we do recover. And I'm asking anybody out there that wants to recover out loud with me, please go to thehopeathon.com and tell me, register and say, I want to recover out loud with you. This is my little message of hope that I want to videotape. How do I do it? How do I submit it? Ask me and I'll answer you. I want everybody that wants to recover out loud with me for that day. It's Independence Day. We do recover, and our moms and dads need to know, can I get my mom back? Can I get my son back? Can I get my daughter back? Yes, you fucking can. And we can all do it together. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Jennifer?
Yeah, I'm verklempt.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Powerful stuff. Louis, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thehopeathon.com, guys. We're going to Independence Day. You can recover 100% and have an amazing life after. You're going to see a bunch of stuff on there for 24 hours. You're going to see some inspiring stuff. I didn't know this, Jennifer. He threw me in last week when he told me that apparently I'm going to be singing. So I'm going to be singing a recovery song about addiction. And if you listen to the words, it'll be freaking awesome. I'm going to bring the band in the studio. I'm going to do it live on air for you. I hung my guitar up some years ago after Abbey Road, but I'm going to get back and we're going to do it. It's going to be a freaking awesome show. Louis, thank you so much indeed for joining us. Always a pleasure, man. I get excited every time I hear your name, man, because there's not many real deals out there. Do you know what I mean? And Jennifer will tell you, I don't mix with anybody. You know, I don't call them friends. I call you a personal friend, man, because you're fucking in there doing this shit. You're not talking about it. You and the Dharma guy, every single week, you're blasting out this stuff. And it's just like, man, I just want to thank you, man, for what you do, man. You bring me to tears, guy. You bring me to tears because you're so passionate that, wow, just thank you, man. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you very much.
You know, you made a comment. You said you can get your mom back, you can get your brother back, you can get your son and your daughter back. And I am living proof that you can get your children back. So I go to the Hope-a-thon, support the Dope Doctor, support Dr. Rob, support all of us, because this is important. We need to end the stigma and we need to end this disease. I mean, we're never going to end it, but we need to support it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely put a dent in that. Guys, we're going to be back in a second. We're going to be asking a question on something that Louis just shared. We're going to give you the question after the break. When I come back, you can win some t-shirts. You can win two amazing books out there, mine and Jennifer's. And it's just going to be amazing. Stick around for a second. For now, thank you to Dope Doctor Louis Delgado. What an amazing guy. So blessed. Don't forget the hopeathon.com. Guys, stick around. We'll be back in 2 seconds.
Thank you.
Got to tell you that while we're talking there, the Dope Doctor hit some figures at the top there we've never had before. There were people listening from all over the world. It was just phenomenal to watch him coming in. Still a bunch of guys listening now. That's the Dope Doctor, the hopeathon.com. What an amazing guy. Absolutely amazing. I really enjoyed that, Jen.
Oh my gosh, that was so much fun and so much energy behind it. Like that's what we need in the world.
It is.
That's how you find greatness.
Yes, definitely. Empowered people empower people. That's what I got told. That was an empowered person. Okay, it's question time, guys. Here's the question. Louis Delgado, the Dope Doctor, was sat in a room full of old guys from which war? Louis Delgado, the Dope Doctor, got well by listening to a bunch of old guys that fought in a war. Which war was it? There's 2 books, Daddy, Daddy, Please Stop Drinking, and The Addiction Diaries, 2 amazing best-selling books that you can buy. We'll autograph them, and we'll send them to you. If you need a T-shirt, send me an email. I'll send you one free of charge, and everything else that you need, maybe some face masks, you never know. What a great show, Jen.
That was so much fun. Thank you so much. Thanks for, I'm glad that this worked out the way it worked out.
It's funny because we've, as you know, we're booked up until December, I think. I just looked at him December, and Louis has to come on. He was like, "Oh, can't get you on until like January," and then a cancellation coming, which obviously was sad about. But Louis jumped on. It was awesome. So, guys, every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Central Time, new guests each week, new giveaways. We're talking about the stuff that people are only thinking about. Remember that we're talking about it. We're raw. We're live, and we're here. If you got any questions, send them in to us, guys. We're on all the platforms, Dr. Rob Kelly and Jennifer Lovely, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. You can find us all. Google our names. You'll see it all over the place. RobKelly.com is the website. JenniferLovelyCoaching.com is the website. We've just started an entity together, which is a force of nature, 2 great minds coming together with experience from all sides of recovery and the addiction itself. It's a coaching program. Look out for that. Jenny, give us the website for that.
Yes, Recover Me Coaching. And the good news is that right after this show, Dr. Rob and I have a live Zoom call that we're inviting people to. If you want to spend 6 months with us, doing finding your greatness. We talked about our greatness earlier today, and it's really about finding your greatness. What is next? What does your heart deeply desire? That's what we're all after. We want to change your story not only about yourself, but how you relate to the rest of the world.
And guys, you obviously you listen to me. I was on Facebook, so if you're on my Facebook page, send me a message real quick. I'll send you the link to the Zoom. It's happening in about 35 minutes time. If you want to better your life, and I mean better your life, I don't just mean go to these happy clappy people and take a if you want to better your life, we're guaranteeing this, guys. If you want to better your life, you need to jump on this. It's not going to cost you anything. Just listen to what we have to say, and you'll find it's absolutely amazing. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Guest was absolutely awesome. The giveaways are here waiting for you. Guys, I want to say thank you from me. Same time next week, 9 a.m. Wednesday. Every Wednesday, me and Jen will be here as usual. Breaking Through Addiction is the show. And once again, thank you so much.
Thank you.